Hi, everyone. Welcome back. Okay, guys, we're going to talk about two things that I absolutely love, love, love talking about: the law and makeup and being a baddie and being a boss babe and a mom and a wife and everything you want to be. Please meet my friend, Neghin Henberty.
Hi, what an intro. Interview over. That was a great intro.
Thanks for joining us. Hi, friend.
Hi.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
Wonderful. So I start my interviews by asking 3 adjectives that describe yourself. And I know you did your homework.
Yeah. So I was telling Gina off camera that I've actually, to prepare for this, I listened to your podcast, which I love, but that was my intro to hearing it. And I was like, ooh, now I have to come up with 3 adjectives because I know she's going to ask that. And still, I'm like, what were my 3 words? So I'm going to give 3 adjectives. And, they're about the stage of life I'm in right now.
Okay.
Because we're ever changing. We're human. So I would say determined, because I have a lot going on and I just have to make it work.
Yeah.
So you got to figure it out. Which on the flip side, I'm also very overwhelmed right now.
Welcome to our world.
Welcome to being a mom and a working mom.
We do it all. And
this one, I don't know if this is an adjective, but it kept coming into my head when I was thinking of words, and at peace. So I've always felt like I need to do the next thing, prove the next point, like just go, go, go. And now I'm coming to a point in my life where I'm like, everything will happen. And I'm happy with what I have, where I am. And I know I have bigger goals and dreams and aspirations, but it'll come.
Yeah.
And it's like, be determined, and everything kind of just falls into place.
Okay. And then the 3rd adjective.
That was at peace. So I don't know if it.
Determined,
overwhelmed, at peace.
Oh,
but I don't know if at peace is technically
it's fine.
Adjective.
It's a description.
Yeah, okay,
and
cool.
It's relevant.
Perfect.
Okay. So I would love to know about your childhood, but I just want to let people know why I invited Neghin, because she has exemplified and is demonstrating the perfect pivot in life. And I just learned about her story. We recently met and connected through the law world and found out about this incredible content creation world you're coming from and still in. And I'm like, oh no, hold on. We've got to let people hear about your story because it's relative to people, and you're a mom and a young baby and how you're doing it, right? So first, where did Neghin, who was she, the little girl?
So I grew up, born and raised in Los Angeles, grew up in a very small town called Oak Park, California. So unless you live like in Agora Hills or Westlake or are familiar with that, you probably haven't even heard of it.
Okay.
But I have great parents. I'm the oldest of 3 girls, and I come from an immigrant family, which I'm very proud of. But growing up in Oak Park, which is a predominantly white neighborhood, it was very difficult. So I was actually, as a child, very extroverted. I loved putting on a show and I loved making friends and doing things. But because of my surroundings and my circumstances, I was kind of forced to be by myself a lot.
Why?
So going back to being the daughter of immigrants, my name is Neghin. So right off the bat, I don't have an exotic name. I don't look like the people I was growing up with. So even in this predominantly white neighborhood, it was all like blonde hair, blue eyes for the most part.
Okay.
And I obviously have dark hair, and yes, I have light eyes and light skin, but I still look different.
And your name was Neghin.
And my name was Neghin, and I'm Middle Eastern, so I've dealt with the hair, but like growing up, I had like, arm hair and like facial hair. So it's just like, I was very different. And because of that, I was always ostracized. So I never fit in. And
I hate that.
Yeah, kids are mean.
Kids are
and now
awful.
Now I have kids going into school, and I'm like,
heartbreaking.
Oh my God, be nice to my babies.
Please be nice.
But growing up in that is very difficult. And thank God there wasn't social media at that time. So like I would go to school, I would get bullied, but I would come home and like all was good. I had my sisters, I had amazing parents. I had a great extended family. So like lived a very healthy, normal childhood.
Yeah.
Fast forward a little bit, in high school, my parents decided they wanted to move to the Valley, be closer to work, their friends and family. And at this point, I was really excited because there's a very predominant Persian community in Los Angeles.
Okay.
And the majority of us are in Beverly Hills and the Valley.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh my God, I'm finally going to go to a high school, Taft, and I'm going to be around people like me.
Yeah.
So I was actually really excited to switch high schools in the middle of high school as my sophomore year. And then I go to Taft, and all of a sudden I'm now too white.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, to fit in with the Persians. So now I'm being ostracized because even though I have a Persian name, I'm too whitewashed.
Wow.
So
high school's terrible.
High school's already horrible. So didn't fit in high school and really didn't find my crowd and my people until college and later on in life.
Really?
So yeah, it really transformed a lot of the decisions I've made going forward. For example, like falling into makeup, because it was my creative outlet as a child. I would watch my mom, and my mom is so beautiful and so glamorous.
I can imagine.
And, you know, when she would get ready for a party, she would put on her face and I would sit there and I'd be in awe. But for me, it was kind of a way to make myself look different.
Oh, escapism.
Escapism. That's a great word. So I would want to look like the people I was trying to fit in with. Okay. And just fell in love with the artistic ability of it and being able to express yourself through makeup and through changing essentially the way you look. So,
wow.
But being a child of an immigrant, you know, my parents I'm Iranian. So they left Iran during the revolution. They didn't meet until they were both in America. But the whole idea was you have to leave Iran because it's now becoming extreme Islamic country. And we're going to come to America and we're going to create a better life for ourselves and our future family.
Yes.
So you grow up as a child of an immigrant being like, okay, I have to become a doctor or a lawyer. Gosh. So luckily I found, even though it was ingrained in my head to a certain degree, I did end up finding that becoming a lawyer was my passion. So I've pivoted.
It's okay. No.
So many times in life.
Yeah. This is part of it.
But
in college, did you realize you wanted to go the legal route?
So I realized it in high school.
Oh.
I think it was like my junior or senior year. And I realized, and ironically, even though I was bullied, I had an internal confidence. And I think it came like from being a child and putting on shows and doing all that I liked to speak and I liked to make a point. And better yet, I like to make you change your mind about your point. So it was almost like this argument of like the artistic, creative argument. So I realized, well, I'm going to become a trial attorney.
Okay.
So did all that, went to college.
Where'd you go to college?
I went to Cal State Northridge.
Okay.
There was one point where I was like, maybe I should see if I want to be a doctor. Like I shouldn't shut everything out. I only have two options.
One or the other.
But once I got to OChem, I realized I do not have the brain for that.
Gosh. Yeah.
So I actually picked Cal State Northridge because at the time, and I'm not sure if this is still true now, they were the only school that had a pre-law like major. So you technically were a business major, but your emphasis was on law.
Got it. So you were intentional on that route already.
I was very intentional, especially like once I knew the doctor route was not for me. Mm-hmm. I graduated from Cal State Northridge, went to Southwestern.
Nice. Law school.
Sorry, thank you. Mm-hmm. Went to Southwestern Law School. And at that point, it was very like step-by-step meticulous. Like you go to college, you graduate, you go to law school, you graduate, take the bar, so forth.
Yeah.
And during this time, I also met my now husband. And right after I took the bar, well, not right after, a couple months later, he proposed. And like, so a lot of it.
All the boxes are getting checked.
Yeah, all the boxes are getting checked, right? And I feel like, okay, like I made my parents proud. I did it for my parents.
Wow.
And even though like there was this internal like purpose I really genuinely felt like I had and I was on the right track for it, in my mind it was make my parents proud. Wow. Like you gotta, like they gave up everything. My dad dropped out of college to be able to like have the family and provide. Mm-hmm. You gotta do it for them. obviously so many layers and different conversation we can have about the generational trauma that comes with that.
Oh,
which
gosh.
I'm now trying to work on with my kids because I realize I'm pushing them towards certain things. And I'm like,
it's so,
they're 4. Like,
and it's so interesting because you're a Persian background. I'm Latina background. It's the same conversation.
So similar.
It is the same conversation.
Yeah.
It is culturally, I think, first gen. Doesn't matter what where you're from. 100%. This first gen mentality. If your family has sacrificed and given up so much and left their home and family and friends and education and so many missed opportunities, they have channeled. You know, with love, they did what they thought was right onto you. Like, because of that, you are now going to do this, be a doctor or a lawyer. And it really is still very prevalent. And on my platform, we talk about this so much, this generational trauma, this cultural trauma that we are now at maybe this stage in the game identifying and working through and maybe making different moves in our life because of it. So, okay, let's talk about the fun part.
Okay.
Not the law, that's fun too. But first, talk about this content creation life. How did this come up? It's so intriguing to me because you're super successful at it and growing.
Thank you.
Where did this start?
So I think it started unknowingly when I was a child, and I would just put on makeup and the love of like all things beautiful, whether it was makeup or skincare, hair, or even clothes. Like, it was just, I wanted to do what I could to make myself feel beautiful, because if I felt beautiful, I would be accepted. So I think it unknowingly was very deep rooted in me. Obviously, as I grow older and I just get more into makeup and stuff, I then became the friend in the group. We're like, oh, what foundation do I need? What's the best mascara?
Okay.
Like, what's the it bag for the season? Like, it was kind of like I fulfilled that role in my friend group.
Okay.
And then social media became a thing. I want to say towards the end of my college experience, although I didn't get on social media until law school, and only because all my friends would make fun of me for not being on social media. So, quick tangent, ironic that I fell into social media content creation because I actually hate social media.
I know, you shared that with me. You're like, I really don't like being on it. I'm like, okay, but you're really good at it and you make money off of it.
I love the community that I've built.
Yeah.
I love that I get to be a creative. It's just a very toxic environment.
Yeah, it can be. Yeah.
So I connect with the people that I've been fortunate to find, and I do my thing with makeup and whatnot. And then I kind of just try to stay
healthy boundaries for you.
And it's a boundary I've had to create for myself because I'm very much the type of person who's like, oh, well, we post the same kind of content. Why does she have 1 million followers? Why do all her videos get X amount of views? Yeah. So I'm very big on comparison, and it's something I'm working on. But to be able to get through it, I had to set up boundaries.
Yes. So where did the page start?
So it was originally my personal page. It was private. It was the page that I started in law school, and I would post once like every 6 months. And then at one point in law school, I don't know what it was, but I think it was like the rise of YouTube, because like beauty influencers on YouTube were a huge thing while I was in law school. And I was like, wow, like I could do that.
Okay.
I love that. And it kind of tied in with like putting on a show, being just creative with makeup, changing the way I looked. And then also this like deeper purpose of wanting to help other women feel beautiful, because I had been bullied for so long that I didn't want other women to feel that way. So whatever. All through law school, I didn't do it, even though I knew I could.
What would you post?
Well, at this point, I wouldn't post anything.
Oh, okay.
I just wanted to. But my thought process was, well, I'm in law school. Like, I don't want to be that person who's in law school who's like posting makeup videos.
Yeah, because no one would take you serious then.
Like, I'm a joke then.
Exactly.
So finished law school, took the bar, passed the bar, started practicing. And still there's always this innate like, I want to do that. I really want to do it. Social media. Like, not even social media, just like content creation, building a community, making women feel good, making myself feel good. I think it was all very much connected and deep rooted to like how I felt as a child, and even someone as an adult. So one day I was having this conversation with my husband, and he looked at me and he's like, Neg, my friends all call me Neg. you either get up right now and you do it.
Thank you.
Or I never want to hear about it again.
Thank you, husband.
So basically, like, are we allowed to cuss on here? Like,
100%.
Shit or get off the pot. Like, you got to do one or the other. Like, I don't want to keep here. Like, it's been years.
Brilliant.
Like, so I was like,
brilliant. Stop whining.
Yeah.
Either do it or don't.
Yeah. And he's
My
actually,
favorite.
yeah, he's actually a big part of the reason. I think I struggled a lot with the victim mentality, and he's a big part of he's never had that victim mentality. He's always a go-getter, very smart, very empathetic. He would have actually been a great lawyer. But he is a very big part of why I'm determined and like working on that confidence of becoming determined and just going for it. Anyway, so literally that weekend, I got up and I started taking pictures. I don't think videos on Instagram specifically were a thing.
Okay.
So I was like, I'll just do it. So every weekend we would batch, basically my husband helped me every weekend, batch create, I guess you can say. So I had stuff to post during the week because I was still practicing law at the time.
Okay.
So I would work on the weekends on this craft, and during the week I would go be a lawyer, and I kept it very much a secret. Like, obviously my close friends and family knew, but like it wasn't something I was talking about because now I'm at that stage in life where, well, I'm an attorney. Like, people can't know I have this other side.
Then they can't take you seriously.
Yeah. So did that for a while, and then it came to a point where it was a combination of a few things. Now it's been a couple of years. I'm making some money on social media, not enough to like sustain a life, but enough to like.
So the page started taking off.
The page started taking off
Just based off pictures before Reels, right?
Yeah, it was way before Reels. I started incorporating. There was stories and like static posts, with basically a picture. So I tried to be very curated. Oh my God, when I scroll back and look at my Instagram, it's so horrible from that time. But I tried to like, be curated for like on the feed. And then like my stories were very much like, this is what like I'm actually doing and like how I actually looked. And I think that I didn't realize it at the time, but I think that really connected with people. I've also struggled with adult acne. So that was a really big part of it because I used to not go on camera unless I had a full face.
Oh.
And then at one point on stories, I just didn't have it. And all of a sudden, like
barefaced.
Yeah, it was just like another thing to relate to.
Did you see that being pivotal in the growth of the page? Just because that's super vulnerable.
Yeah.
And relatable.
And ironically, anytime I've been vulnerable or just authentic to who I am without trying to put on the makeup and put on a show, it's always been pivotal. And that doesn't even necessarily mean like I've gone viral or like my post or whatever did really well, but I've connected with people on a deeper level. And that creates a level of trust, especially because, I mean, at the end of the day, you're talking about building an online community. So it's not like someone I'm going to see in person where I can create that relationship. So that trust is just that much more vital when you're talking about social media.
So then the page is moving along.
And
you're making
thank
you. No, it's okay.
I lost my train of thought, so thank you.
Because there's so much. There's so much happening. The page is moving along. You're now a lawyer.
I'm now a lawyer.
At what point did you stop and say, oh, wow, my page is eclipsing my law career and I really enjoy it. I'm going to full-blown be a content creator.
So it was about 2 years into my legal career and into my marriage. And the page is now doing well. I'm making some money. I've started attending events and doing all that. And it wasn't so much that I felt like I need to give this a shot or am I going to leave my legal career? It kind of manifested the way it was supposed to. I was in a very toxic firm and I needed to get out. So after speaking with my husband, I left that job. We happened to be going on a European summer vacation. So there was like a couple weeks of break. And then when I came back, I happened to get like a really big, at that time was big for me, social media job. So I kind of was like, all right, let me focus on that. And then it kind of just snowballed. It was one thing after another. And again, I wasn't making that much money, but I was just experiencing what I wanted to and needed to in life at that point. And I was very fortunate where I had a husband who could support me financially and emotionally and let me kind of figure this out. So I did that and we ended up getting pregnant, having kids, and all of these things kind of like just took me away from the law for a while.
Were you scared to leave the law?
No, because in my head, at least in the beginning, I wasn't leaving it. I was like, oh, I'm just going to go look for a job. Like once I deal with this social media gig and
Once it's over.
Yeah, once it's over, like I'm just going to go back. Like I never in my head was doing a permanent clean break until I got pregnant and had kids. And then at that point, I was also like a year removed from working in law.
Right.
And I was like, oh, I guess I left it.
Okay.
And I guess now I'm a stay-at-home mom because even though I have the social media thing going, it's not a real, like I have the privilege of being able to be at home with my child. So it kind of like, I was like, oh, this is my new norm.
Okay.
I also had my first son 2 weeks into COVID.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So,
Oh, nightmare.
So it was just like, it was a lot.
Oh, sorry about that.
No, you know what? Blessing in disguise.
I'm
like
sure.
It obviously was a horrible time for the whole world, but I was in my own bubble.
Okay. Yeah.
And I really got to enjoy that stage without having any FOMO.
Sure. Or the pressure to be like, I really should be checking in at work or working or that thing.
So it's just like, for me, it was a blessing in disguise.
Okay.
And I really got to enjoy being a mom. And I actually love the newborn stage. I know most people
really
don't, but I love the newborn stage.
Wow.
So I got to enjoy that. When my first son was a year old, I got pregnant with twins.
Oh.
And so I had
in COVID.
This is like a year into COVID when I get pregnant. So they were born about 2 years into COVID.
Okay.
But still, it was at that point, it was like always an outbreak. Like, you know, things going like,
but
still, take 2 steps forward, 10 steps back.
3 kids under 2.
3 boys under 2.
And twins?
And twins.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
okay.
Somehow I got through that.
Yes.
I cried a lot, if I'm being completely honest.
Please be honest.
Cried a lot.
We all do.
A lot of breakdowns. And
why?
I lost a big part of who I was.
Interesting.
Yeah. And I've always wanted to be a mom. If you asked me 15 years ago, I would have told you I was going to be a mom at 25.
Really?
Yeah.
Was it after baby number 1 you were good? Was it the twins? Just because it was overwhelming?
Yeah, it was overwhelming. And the twins were actually at that stage easier because now I was dealing with a toddler who had 2 children encroach onto his space.
Wow.
So he was, if anything, it was a little more difficult. But it was all of it. And it was feeling like, okay, I've dealt with COVID where I don't have mom friends because it was COVID. So that was like the one hard part of having kids during COVID. So don't really have mom friends, made a couple. Don't really get out of the house much. Now I have 3 kids. I also didn't have help. I chose not to have help with my first one because I was like, well, I'm doing the stay-at-home mom thing.
Sure.
Like if I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it.
Right. Fair.
Then the twins came along and then I didn't have help just because the help I had fell through. So then for 6 months, I had 3 kids luckily I have a very hands-on family. So they were all tag teaming, but I didn't have like a consistent person. So I feel like I lost a really big part of who I was. Just making sure the kids were okay and making sure like I had food on the table for like, and all these things that you think of as a mom, a wife, woman.
Law's not happening at this point.
The law's not happening. It wasn't
Content creation
was still happening, but it wasn't as consistent. I hate using the kids as an excuse, but I had 3 kids. And no help for a while. So it was just like I would show my life on stories, but like the actual like videos and all of that kind of I would post like here or there.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't feel that crazy because again, not the biggest fan of social media. So I was like, let me just I'll just take it as it is.
Right.
But yeah, and then about a year and a half ago, I think it was a culmination of not feeling like myself.
Okay.
Having 3 kids that I was raising and wanting to create a legacy for them, but also when I would tell them, go chase your passion in life and find a partner that will match that passion. How can I do that if and I feel weird saying this because being a stay-at-home mom is the hardest thing. I've been on both sides.
Yes.
But for me, it wasn't fulfilling.
Yeah.
And it wasn't my greater life purpose.
Same.
So I felt like, how can I tell my kids, go pursue your dreams, find something you're passionate about if I chose not to do that, knowing I had a greater life purpose, like outside of being a mom. And I know that's a very controversial thing to say, but it's just how I felt.
I think it's a beautiful thing to say. And I love that you said it because so many women are scared to say that because then they'll follow it up with, oh, but I love my kids.
Yeah.
We don't need to follow it up with that.
Obviously, I mean, we chose to have kids. So.
We have them. We do the best we can every single day. Some days better, some days not so great.
Yeah.
We're doing what we have to.
Yeah.
There should not be like, it's not either or. It's not like you love your kids and sacrifice yourself, which a lot of us have done and do. But why can't we do both mutually?
Yeah.
We love our children, but I have a greater passion, and it is not caring for my kids every day.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I say, and I stand by that proudly.
Yeah.
Because that's what I'm showing my daughters and my sons.
Yeah.
You will find someone who stands by their passion. It may be they're, beautiful earth mothers who love staying at home and they are phenomenal. I am not that.
Yeah.
I become like a creature.
Yeah.
And it's not my passion. It wasn't your passion. So I love that you shared that. So many of us feel that way and are so scared because of, criticism, judgment, people like thinking I'm not a good mom. I really would rather be working. I say that all the time. I love working. I love creating. I love building. Do not love staying home, doing the day-to-day mom stuff. It does not work for me.
It didn't work for me either.
Wonderful.
Yeah. So about 1.5 years ago, I came to the realization, I didn't voice it, again, because it was so controversial. And there is a feeling of guilt that comes with it because you're like, oh my God, I am so lucky I get to be a stay-at-home mom.
Yeah.
I should just relish in that. And I felt so guilty that like, this is something people would love. Like, look, I've had conversations with moms who never, like, kids was 4 months old and baby had to go to daycare because they had to go back to work.
Sure.
So like, there was this level of feeling guilty that I had something that I didn't necessarily want all the time. So
you were squandering a privilege.
Yeah. And again, going back to the whole immigrant mentality, like you can't do that.
Oh, you should be lucky you have that. You know how many people wish they had this?
Yeah.
Oh, I know.
So kind of just started manifesting in my head what my life would look like once my twins were in school. Because this is, again, 1.5 years ago. So I was like, I can kind of see the light. So I'm not going to do anything right now, but I see the light. Let me think about what that's going to look like for me. So I guess I started manifesting, and it's crazy because I was never one of those people who believed in manifestation. My mom is very much like that, and she would always tell me about it growing up, and I was very much like, no, I'm a realist, which basically was I'm a pessimist.
Yes.
But whatever.
Yeah.
But I guess I just started unintentionally manifesting what my future was going to look like. And you would think that would be going back to content creation, because even throughout this whole time, I've been doing it, maybe not consistently full time, but it would always be present on the app. And now there's also TikTok and all these other things.
Yeah.
But
Wow.
So you would think it would be that, but it's almost like that little voice in my head from when I was younger was, and it wasn't this time for my parents. This time was, you have a greater life purpose. And yeah, maybe it was a seed that your parents planted, but you need to go be an attorney. Like that is your life purpose. So I started, and that's what I started seeing. And I was like, maybe I will be an attorney again. And I, throughout this whole time, never let my license lapse, always paid my dues, always kept up with my hours. Because I think in the back of my head, I always knew I was going to go back to it. So 6 months of this goes on where I'm doing this completely in my own head. And then one day I look at my husband and I'm like, I think I'm going to go back to work when the twins start school. And he kind of looked at me. He was like, great.
I mean,
yeah, I love that for us.
Right?
Yeah,
This
for
can
us.
work. This can work for us.
This is great. So then it became a conversation I was having with him. Well, am I going to go work for someone? Am I going to do my own thing? At this point, I was doing a lot of personal injury referrals just because I knew people in the space and that was what my background was in. So one thing led to another. And about, I want to say it was almost 6 months ago, I went to my normal workout and I ran into Nick Rowley.
Love.
Yeah. Who
Love
you know
Nick
very,
and-
very well.
Nick and Courtney.
We love you. ran into Nick and I approached him, which is also something I am not. I am not the type who normally networks, who normally will approach people. I feel very out of my own element, so out of my own skin.
Uh-huh.
So I went up to him and I was like, you probably don't remember me, but I used to work for you when you were a named partner at another firm.
Yeah.
And well, let me start talking. And at the end of this like 10-minute conversation, Nick also doesn't live in LA. So it was
Right.
like
He was just
kind of
visiting.
Yeah, it was kind of just crazy that we ran into each other because I was also going at a workout time that I normally don't go, even though it was my normal workout. It wasn't like the time slot I would normally go to. So start talking. And at the end of the conversation, he's like, well, so where are you now? And I remember being like, damn, here comes the question that I know I have to prepare for because I'm in my head gearing up like, okay, now it's 6 months until I'm going to start applying for positions. And I was like, here's the question that every man, because unfortunately it's always a man on the other side of the table who's going to ask me. And even though their wives probably don't work, they're going to be like, why do you have a 5-year hiatus on your resume? So I was like, here comes the question. And so I was honest. I mean, I had no choice. I was like, I haven't worked in a few years. I had my kids, but I'm actually looking to go back when they start school in the fall. And he was like, great. I'm actually looking for someone in LA.
Oh my gosh.
And I was like, what?
Which speaks to the Rowleys, by the way, because not only are they like
the most amazing people,
the most insane trial lawyers, but the family culture they have, like their actual family. Like Mike and I defer to them and look to them for inspiration just constantly.
Yeah.
Like,
I don't know how they do it, but
they have it all because they're not doing it all. They set very strict boundaries of what is in their life and what is valuable to them. And it's just such a beautiful example. Like we can do that.
Yeah.
Wow, we can do the law and the life and the kids and the parents and,
X, Y, and Z.
Oh, it's wonderful. So yes, Rowleys, love you.
We love them. So later that same day, I guess, did a formal interview on the phone. And he hired me on the spot.
Gosh.
And here I am now on the path of fulfilling that greater life purpose that I have. And it makes me really proud because now I've gotten to a point in life where I'm like, I did it for my parents.
Yeah.
And now I'm also doing it for myself. And it goes beyond that because I'm also doing it for my children.
Ugh.
So it's just like, and I think that's where this whole being at peace thing comes in, where I'm like, it's all going to work out.
Yeah.
It really is. And I'm like a big believer of sometimes the things that you think are the worst thing that can happen to you really open up another door or another window or whatever. So it's just like,
And to speak to that piece, it's because you're honoring your true life's passion.
Yeah.
Had you made the decision, again, like so many people do, well, no, I shouldn't. I have this privilege. I should stay home. My family expects me to do this. I shouldn't. You would be getting along just fine, but you would have that thing in the pit of your stomach eating away at you.
Yeah.
Which usually turns to resentment
100%.
somewhere down the line.
Yeah.
And anyway, so I love that that's where the peace is coming from because that's exactly what happens. And it's like a liberation from the expectations and the demands. It's like, no, I literally am honoring what I have to do.
Yeah.
The judgment's always going to be there from the outside.
Always.
We tune it out.
Yeah.
But I want to just end it on one thing, just highlighting, you kind of brushed over just your partnership with your husband.
Yeah.
The value of having a partner, whether it's a husband, girlfriend, wife, whatever, a partner in your life, someone in your life who values you as an equal, who empowers you, who is your sounding board, and someone you can trust and doesn't passive aggressively respond to you, doesn't demean you, doesn't, just be like, sure, whatever.
Yeah.
Takes you serious.
Yeah.
I heard a lot of that partnership being one of your superpowers. How do you look at the partnership part?
So he really is. I know this is going to sound so cliche, but he really is my best friend. And I have gotten to where I am in life, not just because of my great parents, because they supported me for the majority of my life, but because of my husband. So, and I mean that in not just the financial aspect, because I was very privileged and lucky to be able to have a husband that could provide while I figured out what I wanted to do with my life.
Yeah.
But because he always supported me. So whether that was, okay, I'm going to hustle and I'm going to make money off this social media thing, great, do it as long as you're happy.
Wow.
Or pushing me to even start it to begin with. Also just when I was like, I think I'm going to do the law thing, it wasn't kind of like, oh, well, you've stopped 5 years ago.
Criticizing you or throwing it in your face.
Yeah, it was great. Go do it. Figure it out. And he's very much, and I think I mentioned this earlier, he's none of that victim mentality. So it's very much like, if you want to do it, that's great. Figure it out. Just go do it. Hustle. And,
Done.
Yeah. And like, it'll all kind of work. Again, it'll all just work out.
Yeah.
I now believe in manifesting, but I also think where people get tripped up is that you manifest and then you don't work for it.
Exactly.
So you got to
put it on the vision board and hope it happens.
Yeah.
No.
You got to go out there and you got to make it happen, but you also have to see yourself in that position. Just like if you're working really hard, but you're like, oh, I think I can be a lawyer. Well, then you're always going to be spinning in circles.
No.
Because if you're not going to believe in yourself and you're not going to go out there and do it, why would someone else want to give you that opportunity? Like you at the end of the day, you have to sell yourself all the time.
So good.
So
again, the value of a partner or the community you keep.
Yeah.
That you can. And so that's why we choose who is in our circle wisely.
100%. Because
right?
you are the people you surround yourself with.
Birds of a feather.
And I never want to be the smartest person in the room. Ever. Because then where do I have to go from there?
Yeah.
So I need to always be surrounded by people who are either more successful than me, more talented than me, smarter than me, like in whatever aspect. And that doesn't mean in the traditional, like, you know, looking at Mike and you and being like, wow, like look at them. They're successful. They have their own firm. They have a great partnership, their parents. But it's also just like, they're good people. And like they help and they like, it's just like, it's all of it. Like I always want to be surrounded by people who are better than me. And my husband is one of those people. He's going to love that clip.
Husband. Yes, husband.
Wow.
But it's so beautiful to hear it because typically we hear spouses complaining about, oh, he's fine. Yeah, I love him. But this is like a solid, like it's solid and it's beautiful to share it because it is inspirational. And if you don't have it currently in your relationship, you have some choices to make. You have some
100%.
conversations to have, which might not be comfortable ones.
Yeah.
But again, you have to go after it.
You have to. And look, and even in the happy marriages, you have to have those conversations.
Always.
I can't tell you how often my husband and I don't fight, bicker, whatever the word you want to use, like have those conversations.
It's necessary.
It's necessary. Even the best relationships have them.
You must.
Yeah. And
you must.
If anybody's telling you they're happy all the time, they're lying.
They're lying. Usually a lot of problems.
Yeah. So it's just like, even like as a mom, like I love my children. Let's put that out there. But like I cried a lot for many years.
Sure.
That didn't take away from the fact that I love them. But like, so no matter how much you love a person, a situation, a life style, that doesn't mean there aren't bad moments in it.
Always.
I think and I know now we're off on a huge tangent, but I think where our generation is lacking is that when things become hard, they give up.
Oh, no.
And I think that goes for everything, not just your relationship with your partner, but just your career, your friendships. Like if everybody always gave up when things got rough, like where would humanity be? So
it's a slippery slope because I feel that that's where
happening. Yeah.
That's where we're kind of at right now.
Yeah.
So anyways, how can people find you on social media? Because you all must follow her.
Thank
her
you.
makeup. I mean, I'm sure you can see how beautiful she is, but sitting in front of her, I keep looking at your eyes. I'm like, how the hell do you do that? Like, it's just like, bam. She really looks like this in real life. So
I appreciate it. At Neghin Adina, which is my first and middle name, NEGHINADINA.
Good. And it'll be in the post so you can see it.
Thank you. So yeah, I'm actually, when I went back to law, I thought I was going to give up social media, and I had a conversation with Courtney.
Yeah.
And she was like, no, you got to do both. Because one, it's really cool that you're doing this.
Super cool.
But also it shows people that like you're multifaceted. Yes. So I've decided to, my social media is mainly makeup and family and like my day-to-day life. If you ever want to keep up, follow me. But yeah, during the day I'm working as an attorney.
And so like where you thought, don't tell people I have social media because I'm a lawyer, no one will take me seriously. Now I think the fact that you are a lawyer and you do this and you do all these other things is what makes you so cool and unique and powerful.
And happy.
Yeah. All right. Well, I love that you took the time to be here. Really,
Thank you for having me.
I
was so scared.
I know. She was so nervous. And I'm like, girl, we're just talking.
And now I'm like, I felt like I couldn't shut up.
No,
So this
it
is
was it was wonderful. Thank you for your time.
Thank you
And
for
everyone,
having
please
me.
do follow her. It's
Thank
good,
you.
good content. And I would love to have you back.
I would love to be back. This was great.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Bye.